Hello, Potato. It is once again time to go on the march because it is Soup March. This is part 2 of Soup March 2025. 13 videos of soup. Now, I'm not going to explain it. We explained it all in part 1. If you're not sure what the rules of Soup March are, go back and watch that first video. We tried some beef birria ramen, which was very competent. Not bad. And I said that I thought that broth was going to completely reduce before I finished it. Yeah, there was basically just kind of like sludgy sauce left in the bottom. It was fairly tasty sludgy sauce, but also fairly salty sludgy sauce, and I did not eat all of it. So, armed with my Terran Empire Publishing dice and my Once a Day Designs dice tower, we're going to pick a soup today. Now we're down to 12 soups, which means there's only 10 options because that all counts as one because we're going to do those in order. So I'm going to downgrade from the 12-sided die, which I didn't actually need 12, but I don't have 11. I'm going to downgrade to my 10-sided die to pick today's soup because now we do actually have 10 options left. So let's give it a roll and see what today's soup is. Let's see if we can get it to go in the dice tower. Today we're having number 8. Which is the Millie's Delight Fa. Yeah, I am changing the numbering each day just so they go down rather than, just seems logical. Maybe if we do a Soup March 2026, maybe we'll do something different. So yeah, we have Millie's Delight Fa Sipping Broth. Yes, for the purposes of Soup March, broth is a soup. The perfect cup of broth. Millie's Sipping Broth was created by a school teacher who wanted a smarter snack between classes. Is broth a snack? I mean, I guess if broth is a soup, it can be a snack, right? And her great cooking. I skipped a line. Inspired by our mom, Millie, and her great cooking, Delight Fa Sipping Broth is a hearty blend of onions, basil, lime, and spices. We know you'll like it, Lance and Lori. More from sippingbroth.com, Washington, USA. Use 1 broth bag for every 8 ounces of boiling water. Too much water will dilute the taste. Steep for 4 minutes. Squeeze broth bag for more flavor. So what's in here? We have yeast extract. That means kind of like not Vegemite, but the other one. The one I've done a video on. Marmite. That's it, Marmite. So yeah, like Marmite. That could be interesting. Dried onion, sea salt, dried garlic, rice hulls, dried basil, dried carrots, lime powder, red pepper flakes. So it could be a little bit of kick in here. Dried tomatoes, vinegar powder, dried celery. 10 calories per bag. And so yeah, I'm guessing they're gonna be like little tea bags. I have never tried Millie's Sipping Broth before. They actually have this at a local warehouse club. They had all 3 of them in a single pack. And like, I had thought about them previously about doing this, but like, what am I gonna do like with Sipping Broth? And then when I decided to do Soup March, decided to go on the Soup March, it's like, well, that's where Millie is going to have her chance to shine. Now, I want to point out one thing here. I'm sure you can see the issue on the camera. This is clearly a box that's meant to dispense. I mean, tea boxes frequently come like this, but they've put the bags in at a 90-degree angle to the feeder slot so that you have to still open the whole entire box up and reorient them so that you can then use the feeder slot. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe that's because like they didn't want it pushing on this and tearing the flap open and shipping. Or maybe somebody's just being funny. Right. So yeah, looks like a normal sachet of tea. It's got the same information on here. Let's open her up. And then I'll get us a cup and some boiling water. Go put the kettle on. Because it's like tea, right? So yeah, basically just same with the tea bag. Feels like it might be a little dusty, so I'm going to actually keep it in there. Feels like there might be some like powders. I feel like when we empty this, the bag is going to be a lot emptier than it is now. Sort of like with that, was it a 315 milk tea things, where the milk powder all just goes out of it, and all you left is some tea. Smells nice. Smells very green, very savory. All right, well let's do our first cut here. I'm gonna go grab some boiling water and a cup to drink it out of. And I'll be right back. Got our glass, got 8 ounces of water fresh from the kettle. It's 1 cup if you didn't know that already. Let's drop our bag into the cup. Okay, just add 1 steep of broth to 8 ounces of hot water, steep for 4 minutes, then stir and enjoy. Get any extra little loose powder out of there. Let's add in our formerly boiling water. And give it 4 minutes. We'll have ourselves a cup of delightful sipping broth. So I don't know, I'm just going to let the camera run on this one, and we can see what the what happens to the water without it being touched for 4 minutes. All right, that's 5 minutes up, and I want to say visually, I don't think there's much of a change in the color of the water from when I first put it in there to now. So, oh, that was a waste of fast forward time, wasn't it? So now it says, so we've given it the 4 minutes. We're supposed to stir, squeeze, and enjoy. So give it a stir, give her a squeeze. Of course, you aren't supposed to do this generally with tea bags, unless you like bitter flavors. But I think for this, so there's more stuff left in here than I thought there was. I thought a lot of that stuff was going to dissolve, but it did not. All right. So I'm guessing the brown stuff is probably the yeast. The darker stuff is probably the everything else. Just give it a sniff. Smells very much like, well, soup broth. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to have some noodles in something that smelled like that. It's not bad. 10 calories for that much. I mean, I guess if you're just drinking it quick between class to, I don't know, to tide you over to lunch. It does say it's keto-friendly, gluten-free, and plant-based. I didn't look at nutrition. Yeah, does it seem like I'm stalling now? Maybe. 10 calories, 14% of daily sodium, so it is still a bit, for what you're getting, it's a bit salty. I mean, it's not, we're not in ramen territory, but it's a bit salty. 1 gram of protein. 12 servings. Hopefully it's good because we have 11 more servings in it, plus 24 of the other 2 flavors combined. Let's give it a try. Yeah, that tastes like ramen broth. Maybe a little, I measured out 8 ounces. I did not put, that's why I actually put it in the measuring cup. I didn't want to mess up and make it too weak because this cup does hold, probably about 1.5 cups, so about 12 ounces. And I didn't want to mess up and have it be too weak. Wonder if I could have squeezed a little more flavor. It's just it's a little faint. See if we can't squeeze a little more now that it's not quite so hot too. Squeeze a little more flavor out of that bag. I have no idea how much squeezing you're meant to. I mean, obviously not so much that the bag ruptures. That would be bad, but which I think I may have done. I'm seeing little flecks in there. I may have ruptured a part of the bag. Yeah, those little bits in here now. Let's give it a try though. It's a little, I did squeeze a little more. I think a lot of it, ultimately, I think a lot of it is the yeast. A savory, almost meaty flavor to it, which does actually remind me a bit of like seasoned Marmite. Like when I put Marmite on a piece of bread, but if you added extra things to it. That's not bad. I mean, I'm not gonna take that for like for my coffee break or anything, but if I actually had an issue with my voice last week, thankfully after I recorded the videos, but if my throat was bothering me, this might be a nice, I didn't want to have tea. This might be a nice tea alternative. Like I wanted something savory, not that tea has to be sweet, but if I wanted something that had more soupy, but I didn't want to actually have noodles or chicken or whatever, you can actually do quite a bit worse than the Delight Paw. And as far as that red pepper flake goes, I'm getting a very, very small amount of heat to the point that I'm not sure where it's the hot water ending and the spice from the red pepper flake beginning. but it's not bad. Let's see, rating it. I suppose it's a little unfair to like kind of rate these against each other because there's like different sorts of things here. Maybe that's why I'm not going to rank them. I'm just going to rate them for flavor. I am going to give this a 7. Now, this was actually like mentioned that had stuff in it. It might rate a little lower just because the lack of stuff. But it is meant to be a sipping broth. I am sipping it. It is a broth. That little extra squeezing did actually make it quite a bit more flavorful. It's a very Marmite-y, but with the other flavors in there. It does taste very much like something I would expect to see noodles in. So I'm gonna give it a 7. It has surprised me with what it is. I've never tried sipping broth before, never tried Millie's before. So it's a little bit above average for being kind of a new thing for me. For being quite flavorful, but it's not like, it's not like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Oh, I'm gonna go buy a bunch of this before they stop selling it kind of thing, That'd be like a 9 or a 10. Would be like, I'm gonna go buy some more of this now. So yeah, I don't honestly expect there to be any 9s or 10s on this table. So I'm gonna give it a 7. It ranks to me a little higher than the birria beef ramen. I think maybe because it's doing less, so there's less it can mess up. The birria beef ramen would have done better if Maruchan's noodles were like, if it were Asha noodles instead, something worth a better quality noodle, that would have done better. This doesn't have that problem, so it doesn't get dinged for having insufficient noodles. But yeah, it's not bad. I would, if you like savory hot beverages, I would recommend giving it a try. And you get 12 of them, so if you like it, you have a lot of it. And thus ends another episode of Soup March. We will march on again in a couple of days. We'll roll the die. We'll see which one of our remaining 11 options we get then. But I hope you found today all interesting or entertaining. If you did, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again in a couple days for part 3 of Soup March.